Good afternoon, everybody. This is my third video on ABBA, and today I want to do an analysis of Money, Money, Money. And my first exposure to Money, Money, Money was actually on a TV special that Channel 7 compiled after they had screened the ABBA Music Laden special that was filmed in Bremen. And what they did is that they sent Molly Meldrum over to Sweden, and he did an interview on a boat around Stockholm Harbour, which had a very annoying chugga 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 sound all the way through it. But anyway, aside from that, they called the TV special ABBA in Sweden, even though most of the film clips in the special were filmed in Germany. But Molly Meldrum went over to Sweden to appear in the TV special with ABBA, like to do the interviews, most of the interviews anyway. And what they did was, at the beginning and the end of the TV special, they screened a version of Money, Money, Money that we'd never seen or heard before. So that was my first memory of Money, 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 which was in 1976. And it wasn't the actual promo clip that was released on that day. It was actually part of a filming for a later TV special that was to come later on, called ABBA Dabba Doo in Sweden, or ABBA from the Beginning in Australia, which screened here in, I think it was about October of 1976. So basically they just tacked the new film clip for Money, Money, Money at the beginning of the TV special, and also had it as the closing number. And in between all that, they had interviews with Molly Meldrum on this boat going around Stockholm Harbour, and they used the film clips from the Music Laden German Bremen TV special. Okay, so that was quite a very interesting way to be introduced to a song. And I do remember when I first heard it, I was a little bit shocked in a way, because prior to Money, 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 they released Dancing Queen. And I mean, how do you top Dancing Queen with all the things that are going on in the wall of sound behind that? It's very hard. So whatever followed Dancing Queen was going to be, hard to be up to that same maybe standard. But Molly Meldrum did say that he thought at the time that Money, Money, Money was one of the best songs they ever did. And I must admit, I love the film clip that they did use in that TV special, because it wasn't the promo clip. I was never really keen on the promo clip. And it had this very strange shadow, which looked a bit phallic, on the floor of the studio when Frida was filming the verses. Plus, you couldn't really see much of Frida because it was a dark shadow on one side of her face, and she had a big hat on. And so you couldn't really see much of her. So as much as I admire Lasse Hallström's work, who was the guy that did most of their film clips, that was one that didn't really do a lot for me. But I still love the song anyway. But yeah, so what else do you say about Money, Money, Money? There's so much here. Oh boy. Okay. Maybe if I can show you the sheet music. This actually came out. Usually sheet music always seems to come out later than the records do. So, and just on that point, the morning after Money, Money, Money had been screened in the TV special for the first time, Gary O'Callaghan was one of Sydney's top breakfast radio announcers at that time. And he had two young daughters who were apparently, or reportedly at the time, big ABBA fans. And I think I remember reading somewhere he said they'd race from one room to another when ABBA would ever appear on TV, because remember back in those times there was no VCRs on a wide scale, and particularly in Australia anyway. So, that's what we kind of did, and of course you just got the one chance to see it, and then you had to wait until the channels decided to maybe screen it again, sort of thing. But that was an interesting point for that time. So basically the sheet music looked like this, the original sheet, and can you believe at the time it sold for $1? Okay, and on the back, I'll just read to you, it says the ABBA Arrival album. song folio containing all the tracks from ABBA's new LP Arrival. Includes Fernando, Dancing Queen and Money, Money, Money. Plus autograph page, exclusive photographs, etc. Available at all sheet music retailers on the 22nd of November 1976. Amazing. I'll just have to adjust the camera for a sec. Sorry. Okay. All right. So then basically there's no doubt that this piece, this piece was designed to be played on the piano. It has, like I was saying in the other videos, how a song's composed has the instruments that are used to in a song very much determine how the song turns out. And if something that's written on piano as opposed to something written on guitar composed, you get a completely different sound, because lots of things you can do on the piano more easily than the guitar and vice versa. So I guess Benny and Bjorn had the best of both worlds there, because they composed on both. But this one, there's no doubt that you know, the piano is a big influence in it. And the interesting thing too is that in Australia, at least, most of the big hits that we'd heard, like Ring Ring and Waterloo, Honey Honey Honey, Mamma Mia, SOS, Fernando and Dancing Queen, all had a contribution from Stig, their manager. So in addition to Bjorn and Benny getting credits on those songs, their manager also got credit, sometimes just for the song titles or maybe some of the lyrics, or possibly just putting input into the song. So this, one of the interesting things with Money, Money, Money is that this was quite a big hit here, following Dancing Queen and all those other songs where Stig had some input in terms of big hits, I mean. So with this, it was only Bjorn and Benny that were given credit on the song. So that's interesting. And I think the way the film clip was done, that I liked the best that was in the TV special, was Benny was playing on a beautiful white Steinway grand piano. This is a black one and it's just Yamaha, but Steinway is the #1 piano. It has the big name all around the world, and it was this beautiful white piano. And when the film clip starts, as a lot of you know, it starts off from Benny playing the intro part, which is the... Okay, now that key that it starts off in is A harmonic minor. And to me, A harmonic minor has a kind of a Turkish kind of sound to it. It doesn't have... It shares the same key signature as C major, right? So your C major, but in a minor scale, harmonic minor scale, what they do is they raise the 7th note. So basically, you go up the scale from starting on A. Sounds very Turkish to me. I'll do it again. Robert Schumann wrote a wonderful piano concerto in A minor. And I'd recommend to anyone that doesn't know a lot about music, if you wanted to listen to a piano concerto to kind of get into classical music, that'd probably be one of the suggestions I'd give you. It's very melodic, very tuneful. Every 3 movements, all 3 movements of that piano concerto are beautiful to listen to. Maybe Benny got inspired by that. I don't know. Maybe he did, you know. He does reportedly listen to a lot of classical music. And it's one of my favourite piano concertos too. But getting back to Money, 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 there's a lot of interesting things going on in this musically. Okay, so basically you have an inversion of the A minor chord, the second inversion, and then it goes into a different chord, the F chord. Okay, then you have this little sort of, and that essentially is just the A minor chord with what we call a passing note added, which is the B, the second note. So if I just slow it down, that's the chord, the triad I should say, and then you add the B into semiquavers, which are fast running, quick running notes. Okay. Then in the bass, you've got the basses bouncing around from A to A, like an octave sort of leaps. Now, when it becomes the section where the girls sing "Ain't It Sad," okay, they sing down "Ain't It Sad," but the actual music very cleverly goes up. It sort of goes like. That's what they sing, but the music kind of goes. It sort of goes up, and so the girls are singing down, and the music's going up, it's really interesting how they did that. Okay, then if we go a bit further along, there's an interesting little at the end of the verse, this sort of, and Benny deliberately puts a lot of accent on each group of the first note in each group of quavers there. So you got the first note, dum, 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 dum. And a guy called, I believe, Philip Howenstein, I think you pronounce it, was a student, or might still be even, studying there, or working there even, at the Royal Academy of Music in London. And he actually wrote, I suppose what in Australia we'd call a doctorate on the compositional procedures of ABBA. I think that was the title of the doctorate. And in one of the TV specials, he was featured and describing some of the information about money at the same time. Okay, so the other thing that I find interesting in the chorus is the main part with, where they sing money sort of thing. And they have this, what we call, like a chromatic, that's sort of going on. So basically it sounds something like, okay, and it's just brilliant. And then on top of that, the lyrics match so perfectly this little phrase. The little bit, all the things I could do. To me, that is just the perfect combination of melody and lyrics. So clever. All the things I could do. And then you get this D minor chord, which is what SOS is centered around. So again, the minor keys tend to be heard by most people as being darker, not as bright as the major keys, like the ring sort of A major is very bright. Mamma Mia. They're all in bright major keys. But Money is in this darker A minor key. And I think that kind of makes it more interesting too. And the fact, most working people can relate to the fact that you do work all day and work all day, work all night and work all day, and to make money. So that was a very clever song title as well. Okay, then what I remember is a friend of mine thought that the B flat minor section of the last chorus, you have the verse, then you have the chorus, okay, then you have another verse, then you have the chorus, and that final chorus is in A minor, and then it shifts to B flat minor. And it's interesting, a non-musically trained friend of mine thought that it actually speeds up when it changes in. He could hear that change, that key change, as being sped up. But I'm pretty sure, I stand to be corrected, it doesn't speed up. It's just a change of very clever change of key there. And this is the genius of Benny. I mean, he is a genius in our time. I mean, in my book, he is going to go down in music history as like the Bachs, the Beethovens, in terms of popular music, I mean. So there's no doubt in my mind about that. So basically, they're the main things I wanted to discuss about Money, Money, Money. Things that other things that kind of come to mind is the fact that they also played Money, Money, Money in their 1977 Sydney concert that we had in the rain. And I do remember the first three songs, the medley where they did Tiger, That's Me, and Waterloo. I'm going to cheat here. They went down to Waterloo, and then they did SOS and Sitting in the Palm Tree. When they got to Money, 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 the rain eased off a little bit, so the sound from then on was quite good until it started to rain again. But that was a significant thing too that I remember from that night, their very first night. And of course, the second night I went to the concert, there was no rain and the sound was perfect. You know, there was no wind, howling wind, and there was no rain and all that. But it's hard to give this song as much justice as I'd like, because there's so many things going on in it, and really to do it properly, I suppose I really need a recording of it going at the same time, which would probably infringe copyright with Universal Music, who have a habit of tending to take videos down, so I won't go there. But I hope you found that interesting, and it's definitely probably my all-time favourite song in terms of the video that they did for it, that was in the ABBA Dabba Doo special, or the ABBA from the Beginning TV special, and the music itself, because the actual sound of the piano is like honky-tonk piano, a little bit out of tune. And what the girls wore, well, what they all wore in the clip, the girls wore flapper dresses from the 1920s, black and white. And oh yeah, another funny thing that comes to mind is that when they did that clip, the position of the girls was Frida was on the left and Yetta was on the right, and mainly the camera was focused on Frida after the camera panned around to her from the piano. And then we didn't sort of see Agneta until Agnete's sad, or That's Too Bad. Those little bits, she sort of came in. And that was really clever, I thought. Left a big impression. And something else I was going to tell you about that, and it's just gone. So frustrating when this happens. But this is live, unrehearsed, so forgive me. Yeah, no, it's just gone, and it'll come to me later. So if it comes to me, I'll put it in the comments on the YouTube video. But yes, I hope you enjoyed the talk today, and not sure which one I'll do next. But as I said, I particularly like those early big hits from Ring Ring through to up to around Money Money Money. Then things started to change a little bit. The sound was got thinner. They were becoming more and more minimalist as they went on, and maybe their lyrics were becoming more elaborate, and maybe the music was sort of wasn't as much focus on it, I think, as before. But that's just neither here nor there. They were still good things that they did anyway. Anyway, all the best. Bye bye.